The first thing you need to know about my wife is this. She always thought she was smarter than me. The second thing you need to know is this. She truly believed I was too dumb to see what she was doing behind my back. And the third thing? She was dead wrong. By the time she understood that, it was already too late. My name is Quinn Harper. I'm 43 years old. I own Harper Construction. And until 3 weeks ago, I honestly thought I had a decent marriage. Not perfect, not exciting, but decent. My wife, Lauren, worked at St. Vincent's Hospital. She had climbed her way up to assistant administrator, and she was proud of that title. I was proud of her too for a long time. I worked with my hands. I built houses, fixed broken things, and solved problems one board, one nail, one plan at a time. She worked in offices, wore nice clothes, and spent her days in meetings. We were different, but I thought that was fine. We had been married 15 years. We had routines. We had habits. We had trust. At least I thought we did. Looking back now, trust is a lot like a house built on a bad foundation. It can look strong for years. The paint can shine. The windows can sparkle. The front porch can look perfect. But if the ground underneath is cracked, one hard shake will bring the whole thing down. My shake came on a Tuesday night. I got home from a job site covered in drywall dust and sweat. My back hurt. My hands hurt. I wanted a cold beer, a hot shower, and maybe half an hour to sit down and watch baseball before I had to think again. I opened the front door and heard Lauren laughing in the kitchen. That laugh stopped me cold. Not because laughter is strange. Because I had not heard that laugh in a long time. It was playful. Warm. Flirty. Years ago, that laugh used to belong to me. I stepped into the doorway and froze. Lauren was standing in the kitchen wearing a black and white nun costume from last Halloween. The dress was too tight. The headpiece was crooked. Her blonde hair spilled out on purpose. One hand was on her hip. The other held her phone. She was turning slowly in front of the stove like she was modeling for someone. "Oh, Sister Mary Grace has been very naughty," she said into the phone, dropping her voice into a low, sweet tone I had not heard aimed at me in years. Maybe she needs some very special confession time. My stomach dropped. I stood there in my dirty work boots, silent as a ghost, while my wife of 15 years flirted with somebody who definitely was not me. She did not even notice I was there. She twirled once, laughed again, and said, "The conference goes through Friday, so we'll have plenty of time for private consultations." Conference. Right. Lauren's monthly medical conferences had been happening for almost a year. Funny thing was, she never came home with notes. Never talked about what she learned. Never mentioned speakers, classes, or any of the boring details people usually mention when they actually go somewhere for work. She always came back relaxed, glowing, like she had spent the weekend being pampered, not sitting in meetings about hospital budgets. Then I saw the box on the counter. A big box of condoms. Trojans. Economy size. We had not used condoms since year 2 of our marriage, back when Lauren started taking the pill and told me we were adults now. But there they were. Sitting beside her purse like they belonged there. Like they had every right to be in my kitchen. That was the moment something sharp slid into my chest. Not heartbreak. Not yet. Something harder. Lauren ended her call and turned. When she saw me, her face changed for 1 second. Just one. Then she smiled too fast. "Oh, Quinn. You're home early." She grabbed the box and shoved it into her purse, but not before I got a perfect look. "I was just confirming my travel plans for tomorrow's conference," she said. I glanced at the nun costume. "In that outfit?" She laughed. A fake little tinkling laugh she always used when she was nervous and trying too hard. "Oh, don't be ridiculous. I was trying it on for next weekend's hospital costume party. You know how medical people are. They love silly themes." I nodded slowly. "Sure. Makes sense." She looked relieved. That almost made me smile. "Have fun at your conference," I said. "Thanks, babe." Then she kissed my cheek and walked upstairs to pack. I stood in the kitchen for a long moment after she left. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out the knife I had carried on job sites for 20 years. It was not fancy. Just steady. Reliable. Sharp when I needed it to be. I took the box out of her purse. One by one, I poked a tiny hole through every condom wrapper. Not big enough to notice. Not big enough to tear the whole thing. Just a small, clean pinprick in each one. A man who builds things learns how to make small changes that matter later. When I finished, I slid the box back into her purse exactly the way I found it. Then I zipped it shut and whispered, "Let's see if the saints are watching, honey." The next morning, Lauren kissed me goodbye like she was the sweetest wife in the world. "I'll be home Sunday night," she said as she rolled her suitcase to the front door. "Try not to burn the house down while I'm gone." I watched her from the kitchen window. She loaded her Honda with enough luggage for a month. 3 big bags. A garment bag. A makeup case. Not exactly light packing for a 3-day work trip. As she drove away, I finished my coffee and started making a plan. You see, I've been building things my whole life. Additions. Decks. Kitchen cabinets. Whole homes from dirt and empty space. And when you build long enough, you learn something important. Every structure tells the truth if you know where to look. You can see where the weight sits. You can see what is holding things together. And if it was built badly, you can also see exactly how to bring it down. My marriage had been built on lies. So it was time for demolition. First, I needed proof. Lauren thought she was clever. She thought she moved around the truth like smoke. But 15 years of marriage had made her lazy, comfortable, careless. She forgot who installed our wireless router. She forgot who set up the home accounts. She forgot who had fixed every broken laptop and printer in this house for the past decade. I started with her laptop. The password was easy. Her maiden name and the year we got married. Not exactly spy-level security. Her main email looked clean. No surprise there. Lauren was careful enough not to flirt from her real account. But while I sat there looking through nothing, I remembered something strange from a few months earlier. I had found a travel-size shampoo bottle in her gym bag. That had seemed odd because Lauren only used expensive salon products. She loved labels. Loved little gold letters on bottles. Loved anything overpriced enough to make other people notice. So why did she have cheap shampoo? I went to our bathroom and started checking the back of the cabinet. There it was. Tucked behind face masks, lotions, and tiny jars that promised youth in 12 easy steps. I picked up the shampoo bottle. It felt too heavy. That was all I needed. I twisted the bottom. A small flip phone dropped into my hand. I stared at it and let out one slow breath. "Wow," I said to the empty bathroom. "You really thought this through." The phone was old. One of those pay-as-you-go burners you can buy almost anywhere. No contract. No statements in the mail. No records tied to your real life unless you were careless. Lauren had been careful, but not careful enough. I turned it on. Then I opened the messages. The contact name at the top made me laugh without humor. Dr. Feelgood. Cute. Real cute. I started reading. The farther I went, the colder I got. The messages were filthy, detailed, playful, and old enough to show a pattern. 8 months. 8 months of secret jokes, hidden meetings, costume talk, hotel plans, and little comments that made my hands shake around that tiny phone. One message from him read, "Can't wait to see you in your nurse outfit. I've been a very bad patient." Lauren had answered, "Sister Mary Grace will fix that. Bring the handcuffs from your sales bag." Sales bag. That caught my eye. At a hospital, the people carrying sales bags were usually drug reps. Pharmaceutical reps. Those slick, polished men in expensive suits who walked around with samples and fake smiles and acted like they owned every room they entered. I kept scrolling. Then I found the first real clue. "Tom says the new heart medication samples came in. Good excuse to stop by your floor tomorrow. Tom." So there it was. A first name and a job. Not enough for most people. Enough for me. I sat at the kitchen table, still in my dusty work clothes from yesterday, and kept reading until the whole picture started forming. This was not some quick affair. This was a relationship. They had nicknames for each other. Private jokes. Future plans. And then I found the message that made my vision blur for a second. Lauren had written it 2 weeks earlier. "Quinn is so clueless he thanked me for working late last night. By Christmas we'll have enough saved to make our move. He'll never see it coming." Our move. Their move. My wife and her little hospital Romeo were planning to empty me out and disappear together. The savings account she was talking about was the one I had spent 15 years filling. Overtime jobs. Weekend work. Missed fishing trips. Missed rest. All that extra effort because I wanted us to be safe one day. And she was planning to take it. Not maybe. Not someday. So I sat there very still, phone in my hand, and felt something settle inside me. This was not sadness anymore. I was past sadness. This was rage. Cold rage. The kind that keeps its hands steady. The kind that makes men dangerous. Lauren thought I was dumb. Thought I was just some contractor with calloused hands and simple ideas. She had made the same mistake a lot of people make. They confuse quiet with stupid. They confuse patience with weakness. I opened my laptop. If Tom was a pharmaceutical rep who came through St. Vincent's all the time, there would be records somewhere. Visitor logs. Sales schedules. Staff chatter. LinkedIn pages. Company directories. Men like him always leave trails because men like him think no one can touch them. Took me 3 hours. A few calls. A favor from a buddy who worked maintenance at the hospital. Another favor from a guy I knew who handled deliveries for medical offices. By noon I had a name. Tom Bennett. 38 years old. Pharmaceutical sales rep for Medcore Industries. Married. 2 kids. Lived in an expensive neighborhood called Meadow Ridge 10 miles from my place. Perfect. I picked up Lauren's burner phone again and typed a message as if I were her. Congratulations, Tom. Hope you're ready to be a daddy. I hit send. Then I waited. His answer came back less than 2 minutes later. What are you talking about? We were careful. I smiled at the screen. Careful doesn't always work, I typed. Maybe we need to meet and discuss options. The reply came fast. This can't be happening. Claire will kill me if she finds out. Claire. So his wife had a name now too. Then I wrote, I guess you better figure out what you're going to do. He did not answer after that. Good. Let him panic. Let him sweat. But Tom's panic was only the warm-up. The real work started over the weekend. First, I copied every message from Lauren's burner phone. I printed them out and put them in order. Dates, times, photos, plans. Every dirty little thing they had said to each other while I was out building houses and thinking my marriage was just going through a rough patch. Then I drove to Meadow Ridge. Tom Bennett lived in one of those giant fake rich houses that try way too hard. Tall stone front. Huge garage. Circle driveway. Bright green lawn that screamed expensive sprinklers and hired landscapers. A shiny BMW sat out front like it was part of the family. I parked far enough away to watch without being obvious. A woman came out around 10 with 2 kids trailing behind her. That had to be Claire. She looked to be late 30s. Pretty. Tired around the eyes. The kind of tired that comes from raising children and carrying too much by yourself while someone else smiles and lies. The kids were young. Grade school maybe. That part hit me harder than I expected. I wanted Tom and Lauren to hurt. I wanted them ruined. But those kids had done nothing. Still, truth has a blast zone. There was no way around that now. Sunday evening, Lauren came home from her conference, looking bright and rested. She rolled her suitcase inside, kissed my cheek, and asked how my weekend was. Quiet, I said. Got some work done around the house. How was the conference? I asked. Oh, same old thing, she said, hanging up her coat. Talks about hospital efficiency, staff morale, patient care. Nothing exciting. She was such a good liar. That used to impress me. Now it just made my skin crawl. I did learn a few new ideas for team communication though, she added. I bet you did, I said. She gave me a quick, sharp look. But my face stayed calm. Not yet. The timing mattered. Monday morning, Lauren left for work like usual. I gave her an hour to get settled, then I drove to St. Vincent's. I knew the hospital well. I had done repair jobs there over the years. Security cameras, light fixtures, door frames. Enough little projects that people knew my face. To most of them, I was just Lauren's husband. The dependable contractor. The quiet guy who came when something needed fixing. I found Tom in the parking lot loading sample cases into his BMW. He looked exactly the way I expected. Tall, too tan, perfect teeth, shiny suit. The kind of face that had probably opened a lot of doors for him. I walked right up. Tom Bennett. He looked up and smiled automatically. That's me. Do I know you? Quinn Harper, I said. I think we have something in common. His smile vanished. Not all at once. Just enough. I'm sorry? I handed him a printed page. It was one of the most explicit message threads between him and Lauren. I watched his eyes move over the page. His face went white. He looked around the parking lot. Listen, he said quickly, we should talk somewhere private. No need. I took one step back. I just wanted to make sure you knew Claire may be interested in your reading habits. His mouth opened. Close. I turned and started walking toward my truck. Have a great day, Tom. I left him standing there in the parking lot, holding proof of his own affair in a shaking hand. That evening I called his house. Claire answered on the 3rd ring. Hello? Mrs. Bennett? My name is Quinn Harper from Harper Construction. Yes. I found some personal items that may belong to your husband. Silence. Then, careful and slow, what kind of personal items? I put just enough discomfort in my voice. Some clothing, costumes, a few things I'd rather not describe over the phone. I thought you should know. Another pause. Longer now. Where did you find them? I gave her the address of the Sleepy Pines Motel out by Route 9. One of those sad little places that rents rooms by the hour and doesn't care what people call themselves at the desk. Room 237, I said. The manager gave me your husband's name when I asked who left the things behind. I heard her breathing change. Then she said, "I understand. Thank you for calling." And she hung up. I sat back in my recliner, cracked open a beer, and looked at the TV without seeing any of it. Let the games begin. Tuesday morning, the first crack appeared. Tom called in sick to work. Interesting. Especially since I had seen him the day before looking healthy enough to run a marathon. That evening, Lauren came home quieter than usual. She moved around the kitchen without really being there. She checked her phone every 5 minutes. She barely touched dinner. "Everything okay at the hospital?" I asked. "Fine," she said too fast. "Just staffing problems." She never looked me in the eye. Wednesday night, the next shoe dropped. We were eating dinner when Lauren's phone rang. She looked at the screen and stood so suddenly her chair scraped back hard. "Excuse me," she said. She hurried into the hallway. I could hear the voice on the other end even from the kitchen. Angry, loud, female. Lauren whispered, "No, Claire, you don't understand." Pause. "It's not what you think." Another pause, louder this time from the other side. Then Lauren said, "Please lower your voice." She came back into the kitchen pale and shaking. "Work problem," she said. "Must be serious." "It is." Her fork rattled against her plate. Good. Thursday afternoon brought something I had not expected so soon. I was in my workshop behind the house sharpening saw blades when someone knocked on the back door. I opened it and found Claire Bennett standing there. She looked smaller up close than she had from the street. But there was nothing small in her eyes. Those eyes were hard now, burned clean by truth. "Mr. Harper," she said, "I think we need to talk." I stepped aside and let her in. My workshop smelled like sawdust, steel, and oil. Honest smells. Strong smells. She looked around once, then sat in the folding chair I pointed to. "My husband has been sleeping with your wife," she said. Straight to the point. I respected that. "Yes," I said. "I know. I found receipts in his car yesterday. Hotel rooms. Messages. Pictures." I nodded once. "How long?" she asked. "As far as I can tell, 8 months." Her jaw tightened. "He thought I was stupid," she said quietly. "He thought I didn't notice the late nights, the new cologne, the phone he slept with under his pillow." Lauren thought the same about me. Claire let out one dry laugh. "Men like Tom always think they're smarter than everyone else. Women like your wife too, apparently." That stung a little, because it was true. "What do you want to do?" I asked. She looked me dead in the eye. "I want to destroy them." For the first time in days, I felt something close to peace. Now we were speaking the same language. Tom had been moving money, Claire told me. Small amounts from their joint accounts. Not enough to notice unless she looked closely. He was building a secret little nest egg while smiling at his children over breakfast. Lauren had done the same. I showed Claire the withdrawals I had highlighted from our account. Together, we laid the bank statements side by side and watched the pattern reveal itself. Hotel weekends. Cash withdrawals. Transfers. Every move planned. Every lie deliberate. By the end of that hour, Claire and I had what we needed. Not just proof of cheating. Proof of theft. Proof of planning. Proof that this was bigger than lust. The plan we built was simple. We would give them exactly what they thought they wanted. Each other. But we would make sure the whole world watched them get it. Step 1 was work. Claire had access to Tom's company phone through their family plan. Friday morning, while he was at a doctor's office pretending to be a respectable drug rep, she forwarded his entire message thread with Lauren to his boss at Medcore. She added one short note about company time, company devices, and personal conduct. Tom was fired before lunch. By noon, he no longer had a company car, a company phone, or a company future. Step 2 was Lauren. I mailed copies of her worst messages to her supervisor at St. Vincent's along with a note about inappropriate personal activity during work hours and possible misuse of hospital resources. I did not need to say much. The messages said enough. Step 3 was the fun part. Friday night, Lauren claimed she had to stay late for an administrative emergency. I followed her. She drove straight from the hospital to the Sleepy Pines Motel. Right on schedule. Tom's BMW was already there. They slipped into room 237 like they had done it 100 times. I sat in my truck for 1 full hour. Then I got out. I had brought tools from my workshop. A cordless drill. A heavy chain. A padlock. The motel door was cheap. Hollow. Weak. But I did not need to break it. I only needed to make sure it stayed closed. It took less than 2 minutes to drill the frame and lock the chain across the outside. Inside, I heard nothing at first. Then a muffled thump. Then voices. Then harder thumps. Then panic. I smiled. After that, I started making calls. First, Claire. They're in. Room 237. Bring your camera. Second, the motel front desk. There's some kind of fight happening in room 237. You may want to check it out. Third, Lauren's sister, Rachel. Rachel had never liked me much. She thought Lauren deserved better than a contractor. Better neighborhood. Better car. Better life. Rachel, it's Quinn. Lauren is at the Sleepy Pines in room 237. I think you need to come see this yourself. Fourth, Tom's brother, Jason. Jason, this is Quinn Harper. I'm a friend of Claire's. Tom is at the Sleepy Pines and he is in deep trouble. He may need family. By the time I finished, the sounds from inside the room were louder. Lauren was yelling. Tom was pulling on the knob and cursing. The chain held beautifully. Claire arrived first in her minivan. She got out holding a camera and wearing the face of a woman who had already cried all her tears and had nothing left but steel. The motel manager walked over from the office holding a master key and looking annoyed. "What's going on here?" he asked. Claire gave him a sweet smile that did not match her eyes. "My husband is in that room with his girlfriend. I just need some pictures for my lawyer." The manager looked at the chain, then at me, then at Claire. "I could call the police." "You could," I said. "Or you could let a woman handle her business and avoid squad cars in your parking lot on a Friday night." He thought about that for maybe 3 seconds. Then he sighed. "You've got 5 minutes." Claire used the key I had given her, undid the chain, and yanked the door open. What happened next was better than anything I had imagined. Lauren was trying to pull her nurse costume back on. Tom was half in his pants and half out of them. Both of them looked stunned. Guilty. Stupid. Like two people who had spent months playing with fire and were shocked to finally get burned. Claire lifted the camera. "Smile, honey," she said to Tom. "These are going to look wonderful in court." Claire, wait. 15 years, she snapped. 15 years, 2 children, and this is what you did with it? Lauren found her voice. "You don't understand the situation." Claire turned the camera toward her. "Oh, I understand it just fine. You're both cheaters. You both got caught. Now hold still." Flash, flash, flash. Then Rachel showed up. She looked into the room, saw Lauren in the costume, and started screaming so loudly the manager backed up 2 steps. "You have lost your mind," Rachel yelled. "A motel? A nurse costume? You embarrassed the whole family for this." Jason came in right behind her and just stared at Tom. "Are you serious right now?" Tom tried to speak. Jason held up a hand. "No, don't. I don't even want to hear your voice." The parking lot had turned into a nightmare family reunion. People shouting. Doors slamming. Claire snapping pictures like she was documenting a crime scene. Rachel calling Lauren selfish. Jason calling Tom pathetic. And me? I stood back and watched. Not smiling. Not shouting. Just watching. Because humiliation done right does not need cheering. It speaks for itself. But I was not finished. Not even close. Saturday morning, I drove to the MedCorp office building. Tom's company car was still there. His BMW too. It sat in the parking lot looking shiny and proud and completely unaware of what was about to happen. The windows were cracked open about an inch. Just enough. I reached into my truck and grabbed a can of expanding foam insulation. The kind we use around pipes and windows. Once it comes out, it spreads like crazy and hardens almost like stone. I slid the tube into the window gap. Then I filled that beautiful car. Seats. Dashboard. Steering wheel. Center console. Everything. By the time I was done, the inside of Tom's BMW looked like a foam monster had exploded inside it. It was childish. Petty. And it made me feel wonderful. Saturday afternoon, Lauren came home from another meeting. Probably begging the hospital not to fire her. Probably calling Tom and hearing nothing useful back. She pulled into the driveway and slammed on the brakes. Every single thing she owned was stacked neatly on the front lawn. Clothes. Toiletries. Books. Makeup. Hair tools. Handbags. Boxes and boxes of it. I had even put the nun costume on top in its dry cleaning bag. She stormed up the walk. "What is this?" I sat on the porch with a beer in my hand. "Spring cleaning." Her face twisted. "You cannot do this." "Actually, I can." She pointed at the house. "This is my house too." "No," I said. "It isn't. I bought it before we got married. The deed is still in my name only. Legally, you're a guest. And I'm asking you to leave." For the first time, real fear flashed across her face. Not fake tears. Not wounded pride. Fear. "Quinn, stop. We can work this out." "Work out what?" I asked. The part where you slept with Tom in motels for 8 months? Or the part where you stole from our savings account while calling me clueless? She opened her mouth. I held up the printed messages. Every plan. Every lie. Every little promise she had made to another man. I have proof, Lauren. You want to drag this into court? Fine. But you are not going to like where it ends. She looked at the papers, then at the boxes, then at the windows in the neighborhood where curtains were moving. Mrs. Porter from next door was pretending to water flowers that did not need water. 2 houses down, someone was trimming the same bush for a very long time. Word had already spread. Where am I supposed to go? Lauren asked finally. I took a sip of my beer. That stopped being my problem when you started planning to run away with Tom. She loaded the boxes in silence. Trip after trip to the Honda. No more lies. No more sweet voice. No more act. Just anger and shame and the sound of cardboard scraping against her trunk. When she finally drove off, Mrs. Porter walked over carrying a casserole dish. Quinn, honey, she said, I made too much tuna casserole. Thought you might not want to eat alone. That woman had lived next to us for 12 years and never once brought over food. The gossip network had already made its decision. Apparently, I was the injured husband now. That's kind of you, I said. Mrs. Porter touched my arm. That woman never appreciated you. Anyone could see it. I almost laughed. Anyone could see it. Except me, apparently. Sunday morning, Claire called. Tom's been trying to reach Lauren all weekend, she said. He's desperate. Keeps saying they need to make a plan. I looked out at the empty driveway. Good, I said. Let's give them one. We met again at the Sleepy Pines. Room 237. The same room. The same cheap door. The same bad carpet. Claire had told Tom she wanted to discuss divorce terms privately. I had sent Lauren a message from Tom's old thread telling her he needed to see her face to face so they could figure out how to leave town together. They both came. Tom looked wrecked. He had borrowed Jason's old sedan because his BMW was still full of foam. Lauren looked worse. Like she had been sleeping in her car. Like the last 2 days had peeled years off her pride. They went into room 237 within minutes of each other. I waited until the door closed. Then I chained it shut again. Only this time I had planned a different audience. First to arrive was Denise Walker, head administrator at St. Vincent's and Lauren's boss. I had called her the night before and told her I had proof that one of her senior staff members was involved in serious misconduct with a pharmaceutical rep. Next came Richard Cole from MedCor's regional office. He had received copies of Tom's messages earlier in the week. Then came Channel 8 News. Anonymous tip. Possible corruption between hospital staff and drug reps. Possible contract favors. Possible scandal. News people love dirt when rich or important people are involved. By the time I unlocked the chain, cameras were already rolling. Notebooks were open. Pens were ready. Lauren and Tom stumbled into the parking lot and froze. Waiting for them was not family this time. It was their careers. A reporter shoved a microphone toward Tom. Mr. Bennett, is it true you used your job as a pharmaceutical representative to engage in improper conduct with hospital personnel? Tom looked like he might actually throw up. No comment. Another reporter turned to Lauren. Ms. Harper, how do you respond to claims that you traded access and influence for personal favors? Lauren tried to push through the cameras. This is insane. I'm calling my lawyer. Denise Walker stood behind the reporters with her arms folded and a face like stone. Richard Cole looked ready to kill somebody. The damage was instant. That night, the story ran on the local news. Hospital administrator and pharmaceutical rep linked to misconduct scandal. The details were ugly enough that people repeated them all over town before sunrise. Monday morning, Lauren was fired from St. Vincent's. Tom was blacklisted by MedCor and quietly pushed out of the industry. No company wanted to touch him after that. Their jobs were gone. Their names were trash. And the future they thought they were planning together had turned into smoke. I was in my workshop Monday afternoon sharpening chisels when Lauren came for the last time. She stood in the doorway like a shadow of herself. Her hair was dull. Her clothes were wrinkled. Her face looked older. Not from time. From consequence. I hope you're happy, she said. I kept working for a second. Then I looked up. Pretty much. Her eyes widened. You destroyed everything. My job. My reputation. My future. I set the chisel down. No, I said quietly. I didn't destroy anything. I just opened the curtains so everyone could see what you were doing in the dark. She took a shaky breath. We could have fixed this. With what? I asked. The money you stole? The lies you told? The trust you smashed for some cheap motel fantasy with a drug rep. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. Her face crumpled. Then she cried. Real tears this time. Not the soft little tears she used when she wanted me to back down. These were different. Messy. Hopeless. I made a mistake. No, I said. You made 100 choices. She wiped at her face. What am I supposed to do now? I leaned back against the workbench. The same thing everybody else does when they ruin their own life. She stared at me. Figure it out. For a second I thought she might say something cruel. Something sharp. Something meant to cut me on the way out. Instead she just looked tired. Then she turned toward the door. Halfway there she stopped and looked back. You used to be a good man, Quinn? That one almost got me. Almost. I met her eyes and said, I still am. I just stopped being a stupid one. She left after that. And that was the last time I ever saw her. When the door shut, the workshop went quiet again. I sat there for a long time with the smell of wood and metal around me and took stock of what was left. The house was mine. Paid for. The business was strong. I had enough work lined up to carry me through winter and then some. My name in town was solid. Better than solid, really. People had made up their minds fast once the truth came out. Lauren and Tom, from what I heard, did end up together in a twisted way. Just not the way they wanted. They moved into a tiny studio apartment across town. Both unemployed. Both disgraced. Both trapped with each other instead of running off into some glamorous new life. Claire got her divorce. She took most of the assets, got a good support agreement, and from everything I heard she was doing fine. The kids were okay too. Probably better off without Tom's lies filling up the house. As for me, I was right where I started. In my workshop. With my tools. Building things that would last. Only now I knew something I should have known much earlier. A strong life needs a strong foundation. If the truth is rotten underneath, nothing on top can be trusted. So I took out my phone. I deleted every photo. Every saved message. Every copied file. I took Lauren's burner phone from the drawer where I had kept it and dropped it into the trash. The war was over. I had won. Some people would probably say I went too far. That I was too harsh. Too thorough. Too cold. Maybe. But those people never came home tired from work and found their whole life quietly being sold behind their back. They never discovered the person they trusted most was stealing from them while smiling across the dinner table. They never learned their marriage was a joke to the person wearing the ring. I had supported Lauren for 15 years. Helped her career. Worked long days and longer weekends. Skipped rest. Skipped fun. Saved money. Fixed problems. Loved her when she was difficult and proud and sharp. And while I did that, she was planning my exit from my own life. So yes, I went all the way. I burned the lie down to the studs. But I did it clean. I did it carefully. I did it without violence. I did it without breaking the law. No fists. No threats. No messy scene that could make me look like the villain. Just truth, pressure, timing, and the right tools. Lauren thought I was too dumb to see what she was doing. She was wrong. Just like she was wrong about what kind of man I was. Sometimes the quiet man wins. Sometimes the guy with rough hands and work boots sees more than the polished people in offices ever expect. And sometimes a contractor with a high school diploma can outthink a hospital administrator and a pharmaceutical rep so completely they never even know the trap is closing until the lock clicks shut. That night, I sat in my recliner with a beer in my hand and the baseball game on low. The house was finally quiet. Not empty. Quiet. There's a difference. Tomorrow I would start framing the porter's new back room. Good work. Honest work. The kind that stays standing for years if you build it right. But that night, I just sat there and listened to the silence. And I'll tell you something. Silence sounds different after war. It sounds earned. It sounds clean. It sounds like peace. And for the first time in a long time, I enjoyed every second of it.